Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of solving quadratic equations, specifically how we can do so with the quadratic formula, and we'll do it in 5 minutes or less. So we're going to start with something very simple. I've given you a quadratic equation that's already factored for you. So we know that our factored form here is x minus u, x minus v, right? And your u and your v are going to be your solutions here. So before we even do anything, I want us to know that our solutions are going to be a positive 1 and a negative 2. But let's go ahead and put this into standard form here. So we're going to FOIL this out. X squared, that's going to be a plus 2x minus x, so that's going to be a plus x. And that's going to be a minus 2 equals 0. I want to do the quadratic equation starting with a very simple one. Now, this is a strange looking equation, negative b plus or minus. It's on your mathematics chart or reference materials. B squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. But I want you to see how it works with, we already know what our solutions are, 1 and negative 2. So we need to know what the a and the b and the c are. That's why we need the standard form. So a is just a coefficient in front of the x, it's just 1. B, coefficient in front of that x, 1, and then your c is going to be your final constant, negative 2. Pretty simple. So let's plug this in. So this is going to be negative 1 plus or minus. So 1 squared, that's going to be 1, minus 4 times a is 1 times your negative 2. So that's going to end up making that a positive, right? All of this is going to be over 2a, so 2 times 1. So let's simplify. Negative 1 plus or minus 1 plus 4 times 1 times 2 is 8 over 2. So now we've got negative 1 plus or minus square root of 9 over 2. Square root of 9 is going to be 3. And so there we go. We've got negative 1 plus or minus 3 over 2. So let's take both of those. So if I were to say negative 1 plus 3 over 2, what's that going to equal? That's going to equal 2 over 2. It's going to equal 1. Boom. What if I were to say negative 1 minus 3 over 2? Well, that's going to equal negative 4 over 2. That equals your negative 2. Boom. So that's how this works. Let's do it with a difficult one. When I say difficult, it's just difficult because sometimes the numbers get kind of big, but it's pretty straightforward here. So we've got this right here. We need to make sure we know our a's, b's, and c's. So a is that coefficient 3, b is going to equal negative 13, and then c is going to equal negative 10. But once you have that, it's pretty straightforward. So let's plug this in here. So negative b. Well, I've got a negative, and then I've got a b is negative 13. So that's going to end up being a positive. Plus or minus square root of b squared. So that's negative 13 squared minus 4 times a is 3 times my negative 10. So that's going to end up being positive, the two negatives right there. And then 2a, so 2 times 3. Lots of simplifying here, so that's going to end up being a positive 13 plus or minus. Okay, so now we need negative 13 squared, so that is going to be 169 plus 4 times 3 times 10. It was a positive there, that's 12 times 10, 120 over 6. So the biggest one is going to be within that square root, obviously. So 13 plus or minus 289, square root of 289 over 6. And this is where it gets fun because you see that the square root of 289 is just 17. So now we're stuck with this, 13 plus or minus 17 over 6. Once we have that, we're pretty good. So that can be 30 over 6. If you take the positive, that equals 5. That's one of our solutions. Then you get your negative 4 over 6, which is going to be negative 2/3 if you take the negative. And these are your two solutions, 5 and negative 2/3.